Welcome back, everybody. So this is key considerations for smooth data migration. What you must think about. Data migration is often one of those tasks that seem straightforward on paper. Move data from one system to another, but in reality, it's a process filled with complexity, and one misstep can cause major disruptions. From my humble experience, I've found that successful data migration requires careful planning and attention to detail at every stage. Guys, welcome to this channel. We talk mainly about data. Please subscribe and let's go. So let me walk you through the essential things you need to think about when handling data migration to avoid pitfalls and ensure success. First, we need to understand the source and target systems. Before you even start migrating data, you need to have a deep understanding of both your source system, where the data coming from, and your target system, where the data will be moved. This is not just about knowing the structure, it's about understanding the intricacies of how data is stored, accessed, and used. And here we can ask some questions. What data formats are involved? Are there differences in data types or structures between the systems, and how will the target system interpret the migrated data? By clarifying these points early, you avoid nasty surprises later in the process. Second point here is to talk about data mapping and transformation. Once you know your systems, the next step is to map out how data will be transferred from one system to another. Often the data formats or structures won't match exactly, which means you will need to transform the data during the migration process. And here I wanted to mention some key considerations. Do you need to clean or normalize data before migrating? Are there any specific fields that need to be transformed? And how will you handle legacy data that might not fit into the new system? For example, I've worked on projects where date formats differed from between systems, requiring transformation to ensure consistency, and missing this step could have led to corrupted or incomplete data in the new system. The third point that I wanted to mention here is to talk about data quality, because garbage in, garbage out. This is one of the most important principles in data migration. If you don't pay attention to the data quality, you will simply transfer bad data to your new system, and migrating data is a great opportunity to clean up duplicate, incorrect entries, and outdated information. And things to think about here is how will you validate the quality of data pre-migration? What data validation checks you will be implementing post-migration, and how will you deal with data anomalies, errors that arise during the process? And taking the time to ensure your data is accurate and clean will save you headaches down the road. The fourth point here is planning for downtime and impact on business operations. One challenge I've often faced during data migration is minimizing the impact on day-to-day operations. Depending on the size and complexity of the migration, you might face downtime. Planning ahead for this is crucial to avoid disrupting the business. And steps to mitigate risk here: can you perform the migration in phases or during off hours? Is there a backup plan if something goes wrong mid-migration? How long will the migration take, and what's the worst case scenario? I found that communicating with stakeholders early, setting realistic expectations, and having a contingency plan can make all the difference when managing the risks of downtime. The fifth point here, we will talk about data security and compliance. Migrating data isn't just about moving bits and bytes. It's about moving sensitive information that could be subject to regulatory requirements like GDPR in Europe and HIPAA in the US. This is especially important when migrating customer financial or healthcare data. Security, and here I mentioned security must-haves. How will the data is encrypted during transfer? What compliance regulations apply to your data, and how will you ensure adherence? Who will have access to the data during migration, and how can you limit exposure? Data breaches during migration are costly, not just in terms of fines, but in reputational damage. Never compromise on security measures. The final point that I want to mention here is testing. So testing, testing, testing. One thing I've learned the hard way, never underestimate the importance of testing. After all, no matter how well you've planned and executed the migration, there is always a chance something could go wrong. Things to test here, I could mention pre-migration step, run pilot migrations on small subset of data to identify potential issues. Post-migration, verify that all data has been accurately transferred and that the target system behaves as expected. And we need also a rollback plan to ensure that you can easily revert to the old system if something fails. Testing not only helps catch issues early, but also gives everyone involved peace of mind knowing that data is in the right place and ready to be used. Monitoring and post-migration validation. Once the migration is complete, your job is not over. I've seen cases where data looked fine initially, only for issues to pop up weeks later. This is why post-migration monitoring and validation are crucial. And here I might mention some considerations. How will you monitor the data's accuracy and integrity in the weeks following migration? Are all the systems and reports functioning as expected? Have users been properly onboarded and trained in using new system? Setting up monitoring and regularly validating the data ensures that the migration was truly successful and it helps catch any issues before they snowball into bigger problems. Guys, planning is everything. Data migration is a journey with a lot of moving parts, but with careful planning and attention to detail, it can be a smooth process. By understanding your systems, prioritizing data quality, planning for downtime, ensuring security, and testing thoroughly, you will be setting yourself up for success. The key takeaway here, don't rush. Take the time to think through every stage of the migration process because the more you plan up front, the fewer surprises you will face along the way. Thank you very much, guys. Please like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.